Breaking news, Rolex heist in Ginza, Tokyo, Japan on May 8, 2023. All right, everybody, welcome to Gentleman Masterclass. I'm your host, Mr. Mark Antimate. This is something that I want to talk about because this shop that got robbed is one that I frequent, and I am a Rolex wearer. And this shop is one that I may have potentially bought a future piece from, and now they've just been ransacked. But this is very interesting news, as crime and things of this nature just don't happen like this in Japan. This is really like a one-off type of event. At first, I'm going to start off by reading the English news. Then I'm going to go over to the Japanese news and I'll read that second. And then third, I'm going to give my opinion on the matter. So this came in through Japan Today, and you are greeted with a photo of the crime scene. And there's a caption that says, "The robbery in the upscale Ginza district was an unusual attempted heist in a country with famously low levels of crime." The title of this article is "4 Minors Detained After Rolex Store Heist in Tokyo's Ginza District." This has been updated because before it wasn't indicated that they were minors. So, reading the most recent news, it says 4 minors were detained in Tokyo on Monday after they smashed their way into a luxury watch shop and stole items worth over 100 million Japanese yen, local media said. 100 million Japanese yen is over 1 million USD. Continuing, police said 2 of them were 19. One was an 18-year-old high school student and the 4th was age 16. All 4 live in Yokohama, police said. Yokohama is a neighboring city to Tokyo, and it is in the bordering prefecture of Kanagawa, just 30 minutes south of Tokyo proper. The robbery in the upscale Ginza district was an unusual attempted heist in a country with famously low levels of crime. 3 people entered the Rolex store at 6:15 p.m. with their faces covered and armed with crowbars, which they used to destroy glass cases and snatch more than 100 wristwatches. Public broadcaster NHK said 4 people were taken into police custody, and another suspected member of the gang was still at large. The robbery left the shop's display windows shattered. The gang, carrying the watches in black bags, fled in a white minivan and were detained about 3 kilometers from the scene of the crime. While Japan is known for low crime levels and even valuable lost items are often returned to owners, Ginza's fancy boutiques have been targeted before. In 2014, thieves made off with a diamond ring worth over $300,000 in a Christmas Eve robbery. And in 2007, the Pink Panther gang stole items worth more than 3.5 million USD from a jewelry shop in the district. And I just read at the bottom, it says the story has been updated to report the suspects' ages. So this is the most recent news that you'll get on this. The Japanese news comes by way of the Yomiuri Shimbun, the Yomiuri newspaper. The title of this one, "Watch Shop in Ginza, White Masked Trio Robbed Rolex and More Than 100 Items. The men involved were caught in Akasaka." Around 6:15 p.m. on the 8th, a group of 3 men broke into the watch store Quark Ginza 888 in Ginza, Chuoku, Tokyo. As they threatened, the men smashed the display case with a tool, stole luxury brand Rolex wristwatches, and fled. The store clerk was not injured, and the Metropolitan Police Department Tsukiji Station is investigating the incident as a robbery. According to investigative sources, the wagon used by the men to escape was found in Akasaka, Minato Ward, about 3 kilometers from the scene, on the evening of the same day. A current offender was arrested. The Metropolitan Police Department is investigating the suspicion that 4 people were involved in the robbery. According to a senior official at the Tsukiji Prefectural Police Station, watches priced between 500,000 Japanese yen and 20 million Japanese yen were sold at watch stores, and more than 100 items are believed to have been stolen. All three were dressed in black, top to bottom, and wore white masks to hide their faces. After the incident, they fled in a parked van on the street in front of the store. The scene was corner-lined with luxury brand stores, and there were many shoppers and passerbys around. A video posted by an eyewitness on Twitter showed three men wearing similar masks who hid their faces, smashing showcases one after another with something like a crowbar, putting the products in bags and fleeing. A man in his 50s who works at a nearby store said, "When I noticed the sound of a gang and looked at the store, a group of three people wearing masks were breaking the showcase. I can't believe you robbed someone," he said. All right, let's talk about this store. This is a very good store that I frequented almost every single time that I was in Ginza. The name of this place is called Cork, and they specialize in selling Rolex watches. So this was the Ginza branch, as well as the place that the so-called robbers came from, Yokohama City. There's also a Cork in Yokohama, and I used to go to that one as well. The reason I really like this place is because they specialize in two things. Either you want the very newest of the new Rolexes, so anything released within the last 10 years, they had, and those things were quite expensive. And on the other end of the spectrum, they sold extremely old vintage pieces. So you can either go very old and vintage or you can go very new. But they didn't really have much of the in-between inside of this particular shop. And I'm speaking from experience of being a patron inside of this place. I spoke to the staff there a few times. They speak English perfectly. And if I was ever considering flipping my Explorer 2, believe it or not, I tell no lies, this would have been the place that I tried to have sold this watch at to recoup some money, or to maybe trade it in for a newer Submariner piece or a newer piece of any kind. But I really knew this store. The moment I saw the pictures, shout out to my friend Tim Remington. He's the one that made me privy to this news, and he sent me both the English article and the Japanese article. So salute to you, Tim. Thank you. You have been recognized for your contributions to this channel. Oh, before I go off on a tangent. So I said the moment he sent me this article and I opened it up and I seen the picture, I knew immediately that this was Cork that has been robbed, because frankly, I know all the Rolex stores inside of Ginza, and it just, wow. It just kind of leaves a bad taste on your mouth. Yes, it just seems like a very one-off incident and young people are involved, and this is not going to be the new normal, but how hard is this going to make it for us patrons inside the future? Not like we're entering the establishment through windows or anything like this, but you imagine that maybe they might have steel bars put up on the windows now. Maybe they might have security inside the store. Maybe they'll only allow so many people to enter the store at one time. This place, Cork, was a very tight and narrow space. You could probably get about 5 patrons inside of here at one time to look around. But now, inside the future, they might only limit like 1 or 2 people to come in at a time, and they might have security at the door. It's just going to make the overall shopping experience a lot more hell for people like me. And I hope that's not the case. I hope they realize that this is just kind of like a one-off event. And I hope they take some proper precautions, but I hope they don't go too overboard with it and just make me frown my face when I, approach the establishment as a patron, because I like to have a good user experience on my end. And whether it matters whether or not they're going to put up steel bars on the window is kind of beyond the point, because this robbery happened in broad daylight, almost broad daylight, at sunset at 6:15 p.m. here in Ginza, while there were hundreds of thousands of pedestrians on this street called Ginza-dori. This is the most famous street in Ginza with the most highest end brands. And just the day before this robbery, 2 days before this robbery, I was literally standing across the street at the Nicholas G. Hayek building to secure my moonshine gold moon swatch. So to say how close this is to home, I shop at the Rolex. I haven't bought anything. I patron the Rolex Cork store that was robbed. And 2 days prior to it getting robbed, I was just across the street at the Nicholas G. Hayek building buying a watch. So, wow, how do you like that? Absolutely crazy. I can't believe it. I'm glad that they caught the suspects inside of Japan. They're very quick about these things, and I'm glad that they have been successful. And I hope that these are the guys. We're assuming that they're the guys. Innocent until proven guilty, but it seems like their chances of them being innocent is quite low. Obviously, it was young guys that did it, because what kind of an idiot is going to rob a place like this in broad daylight? Usually, you would wait for the most minimum amount of people to be on street level before you decide to commit some stupid crime like this. Not that I'm giving them ideas, but I'm just saying, what kind of a brainiac? Anyways, I'm glad that they've been caught. This is definitely one for, what's my friend's name? Mr. Paul Thorpe. This will be a good one for his channel. Paul Thorpe, I hope you're watching the video. Give your comments on what you think about this. And everybody, leave your comments down below the video. Tell me what you think about it. If you found this video informative or entertaining in the least bit, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and I would like to thank you guys for watching today. Salute to you wherever you may be out inside the world. And as always, gentlemen, you guys know what to do. Keep it classy. I'm out.